Hello and welcome to Treasure in Every Verse. I'm your host, author and Bible teacher Kevin Madison. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, friends, we're back and we're talking about the sinner being unwilling to come to God. Now, I want to point out a couple of things to you guys so that we can all be on the same picture here. So watch this. Now let me show you because some people really have a problem with uh, with the way God operates. And what I mean by that, they have a problem with God's sovereignty, or some have a problem with God's sovereignty, and some just don't understand the way God's sovereignty works. So here we go. So when we look at God, God is sovereign. He says that, folks, not me. All right? Now, if that's true, if God being sovereign is true, then what does that mean? That means he is in control of all things. How many things? All things. And if that part is true, then you can't be in control of anything. I can't be in control of anything. The angels can't be in control of anything. No part of his creation can be in total and complete control of anything. You can't have someone saying, I'm sovereign, and then having anything beneath him saying, I can do whatever I want. Then that means the person above you isn't sovereign. All right. So here you have decrees. Friends, when God decrees a thing, it cannot be altered. Why not? Because he's sovereign. So what does his decrees look like? Well, take a look at the universe. He set the sun in the sky, and he made it a light. You make it dark. You turn down the light. Go ahead. But that's what I'm trying to show you. When God sets up his decrees, there's absolutely, positively nothing anyone can do about it. So, I don't know what else to tell you besides live with it. Then, that's his sovereign will. Then God have what he calls his provisional will. What does that mean when I say provisional will? It simply means that God is executing his plan. And he isn't asking you and I to participate in it. He's commanding, he's decreeing that you and I participate. How did he do that? He made you, man. He created you. And he put you in the time frame. So let's look at it. So this is without time. Right? None of God's creation can overrule God's decrees. None. Forget it, man. Can't do it. Now, over here, in his provisional will, so I'll just call it provisional will. God has a plan. God, in his wisdom, he creates creatures. Right? What kind of creatures? Well, all kind of creatures. He created angels, he created heavens, he created hells, he created animals, he created humans, he created insects, he created earths, and all the stuff. That's just creation, right? And in that creation, what does he have? He has time. This is the only place where time exists. Time does not exist here because it doesn't matter. But over here, it matters. Why? Because it's a plan. The plan is being executed from beginning to end. So within this execution, what is God's purpose? So God has a time is allowing us to see God's purpose. So what is he trying to do? That's what you and I have the Bible for. The Bible was given, the scriptures, to tell you about God's plan and the purpose for the plan. So what's God's plan? Well, there's two things you can look at. The two bookends. If you want to know the full plan, God literally wrote it in 2 chapters of 2 books. Go look at Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2. And then go check out Revelation chapters 21 and 22. God tells you exactly where he's going. How do I know that? 1, because I read the book. 2, because these are the only 2 chapters where there's no sin. This is the beginning, and he tells you exactly where he's going. If you just look at creation beyond the natural of creation. Let me show you what I mean. What do you see? Tell me. Sorry, it's not what do you see when you look at Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2? Even the very first verse. And this is what I mean when I say, are you really studying the Bible or are you reading it? Are you reading it like it's just a storybook? Or are you studying it? Because when you are studying the book, you look at every single word, and it makes a difference. Inside D, which is single. Got it? Now, I'm going to take you guys through how Kevin studied. You don't have to do it the way I do it. Please. I'm not saying that. I'm not right when it comes to how to study the book. So don't say Kevin's trying to teach me to do like it. No. This is just how I do it. If it helps you, fine. If it don't, fine. Find a better way. There are lots of better ways to do this than the way I do it. But I'm just going to show you how I do it because I can't show you how you do it. All right. So when I see this, I see inside D, meaning there's only one. Beginning. So I have to ask myself, what does that mean? So what do I have to go find out? I have to go find out what beginning means because God did it inside of this particular beginning. Is there anywhere else in the book? Forget what I think the beginning is. Let me tell you what most people think beginning is. They refer that to time. They refer the beginning to time. When actually in this whole verse, there is no time. Why? Time exists in the physical realm. It doesn't exist in the spirit. This verse here is all spiritual. I'm going to show you what I mean. But most people, if you go talk to them, I guarantee you, they're going to say the beginning is time. But that's not how the Bible defines beginning. How does the Bible itself define beginning? That's what you're looking for. And if you find that out, then you can put that in this verse, and it makes all the sense in the world the way God intended it. So, let's do this again. Inside, D, meaning this is single. What is the beginning? According to the scriptures, in the book of Colossians, God defined the beginning for us. What did he say it is? Jesus. The book of Colossians tells us Jesus is the beginning. So when you read this, you should read it inside Jesus, inside the man, the body, Jesus. God created the heavens and the earth. You know what that means? God used that man to create the heavens and the earth. What was God? He was on the inside of that man. Now, if that's true, and it is, we should be able to find confirmation of that elsewhere in the book. Whether it's Old Testament or New Testament, folks, we can find it everywhere in the Old Testament. But because most people who's watching me today don't even read the Old Testament, let's go to the New Testament. Okay. So let's go find it. Right? The best one, right, is right here. Okay. Now we know, you and I know, according to the scriptures, that a spirit is invisible. That a spirit do not have flesh and bones, and a spirit don't have blood. No, nothing in the spirit realm have blood. They have flesh and bones. Angels have flesh and bones, friends. They do. They're spiritual beings. Spiritual beings. Jesus Christ had a spiritual body today. but it's physical. Go read 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and it explains what I'm talking about. Now, God, because God was inside of this body, what body? The person called the beginning. He did something. In various times, see, he did certain things at certain time. And in various ways, he spoke in time past to the fathers by the prophets. Has in these last days, the last days simply mean when Jesus Christ became a human. He was always a man. He became human, became flesh. What does that mean? Blood. Blood entered his body for the very first time. That's what made Jesus, the man, God, a servant. That's what allowed God to die. Do you understand that? As long as Jesus, the man that we read about in Genesis 1, verse 1, was a spiritual being, he could not die. Though he had flesh and bones, no blood. Philippians chapter 2 explains to us what happened with God. What happened? He became a servant. How? How did God become a servant? He took on human flesh, not spiritual flesh, human. In essence, the only thing God did was allow blood to enter his own body, which made him susceptible to the laws. Remember, you got a spirit realm and you have the physical realm. Each one of these have laws. Everybody in the spiritual realm can travel into both dimensions, but they're only subjected to the spiritual realms. What does that mean? They don't have any blood in their body. They're not subjected to gravity. They're not subjected to the principles of the physical world. What is that? They can walk through walls. They can walk straight through solid matter, and it doesn't make a difference, the density of it. They're not subjected to it. And they can come and go as they please. They don't need to breathe oxygen. They don't have to eat. They don't have to drink. And they're indestructible, meaning they cannot die. Everything that's in the spiritual realm, according to God's, listen, according to God's provisional will, cannot die. You say, why provisional and not decrees? Because it's part of the plan, and this is where the creatures come into play. See, if you go into the scriptures with this kind of understanding, then when you read it, it all comes together and makes sense. But if you don't understand this, you're just putting you're going to read it segmented. And when you read it segmented like that, it really doesn't, you can't see the whole picture. And then when you read something that sort of look like it contradicts another part, it won't make sense to you. I'm trying to help you get out of reading it that way and you reading it as a single book. Let's go back. So you have these two realms. So when Jesus entered into the physical realm, what happened? He became subject to the physical properties or the physical decrees that God put in place for the physical realm, meaning he couldn't walk through walls anymore, meaning he was subjected to time. He had to eat and drink to stay alive. If he stumped his toe, it hurted. If an angel come down here and run his head into this screen right here, if I try to do it, it'll hurt me. But if an angel, even when he shows himself, when God allows it, come here and when he takes on the physical, but just flesh and bones, hits his head against that, you know what's going to happen? He won't feel any pain. You say, wouldn't he just go through it? No. In his spiritual body, if he's invisible to me, he can run right through it. But the minute he takes on the physical body, that's why when the angel showed up with Jesus to Abraham, they were able to grab food and eat it. That's why when angels show up and people see them, like David seen the angel with the sword, Joshua seen the angel with the sword, when you can physically see an angel, he can harm you. Right now, I'm sure there are angels around. I'm sure there's demons around. I can't see them. And as long as they're in this spiritual, invisible part, they can swing a sword all day long, all through my body, and they can't harm me. But if God allows them to physically be present and use that same sword, I would die. I know, folks, this is hard for some people to understand. I get it. But that's what God did. That's how it works. That's why an angel can go and kill 185,000 men who was coming against Jerusalem, the king of Assyria, Sennacherib. That's how an angel, when David counted the people of Israel, can go through Israel and kill a bunch of men. That's how an angel of death can show up when God sent him to Egypt to kill the firstborn. Do you know how complex that was? He had to know the exact DNA and lineage of every single human in Egypt. And he killed the animals, folks. The firstborn of each animal. How in the world would an angel know that? That's the power of the spiritual realm versus the physical realm. The wisdom far exceeds anything we could ever imagine. So, when God entered as the man, Jesus Christ, he created time. He created the ways to speak. Okay? He spoke to us. And this is the only way God has ever spoken to anyone. How do I know that? Because Jesus told us that. No one has seen God at any time, nor heard his voice. So when God speaks, whose voice is God using? He's using the voice of that man, the body of the man Jesus Christ, whom God, the Spirit, whom we know as Father, appointed heir of all things. Why is this man, Jesus, heir of all things? Here's your reason. Through, folks, this isn't a misprint. In the beginning, Genesis 1, God created the heavens and the earth. Genesis 1 again. Inside the man, Jesus, God created the heavens and the earth. Look at this. Through whom? Who's the whom? The Son, the body, the man. Also, God, the Spirit, made what? The worlds, friend. That's exactly what Genesis 1:1 says. Now do you understand how this works? That's what I'm trying to teach you. That you put all these things together. And you'll find this right here. Through whom he made the worlds. You'll find it everywhere. Everywhere. Go look in the book of Colossians. In the beginning, you'll see that Jesus is called the beginning. So I did that. Why? Because we're about to say some things that if you don't have the complete understanding or an understanding of what I just said, you're gonna shake your head and say, man, that Kevin, that can't be right. But you gotta have a sense of what I'm talking about. That's exactly why I did what I did. Okay. So for those who want the reference to the in the beginning, let me give it to you. Because I don't want, there's people that watch this that's not familiar with the scriptures. So let me give it to you. It's in Colossians chapter 1, 18. So let me just show it on the board so that people can clearly see it, that I'm not making stuff up. Okay. Colossians 1. Let's go look at verse 18. This is how you know. All right. So watch this. Starting at verse 15. He, speaking of Jesus, he is the image. What does image mean? He is the front part. The front part or the visible part of the invisible God. Because he is Jesus. Okay? God is invisible. Jesus Christ is the visible part of the invisible part of God. The firstborn, he is the author. He has the authority. He's the author, friends. That's essential. Why? Because he created it. Why he's the first one? Because it is by him. This Bible, if you go look it up, it's through. Why they translated it by here and not through, I don't know. But I'm just telling you, just go look it up yourself. That's what it means. All things were created. You see? It says the same thing that it says in Genesis and in Hebrews. That are where? Whether it's in heaven and that are on the earth. Whether it's visible, there's some things that are visible, and there's some things that are invisible. Whether they're thrones or dominions or principalities or powers or your angelic beings. All things, how many? All things, friends, were created how? Through him. That's that word again. And because he's God, it's for him. And he is before all things. What does that mean? He existed before all things. And in him, all things consist. That is, if Jesus Christ stopped being God at any time, even in his incarnation, if he stopped being God, everything would just disappear. He is the head of the body. Here's the plan of God. God is looking for a body. What kind of body? His bride, the church. God wants a bride to do what? be conformed to the very image of his son. Go read Romans 8. He tells you the purpose of this. Who, talking about this man, Jesus, the who comes back to him, right? Jesus. He is what? The beginning. There you have it, friend. So you see, I didn't make that up. That came straight from the book. All right. So I just wanted to show you that so that people won't say, oh, he made that up. No, I didn't. I don't make stuff up, friends. You'll learn that as you continue to watch. All right. So where we want to go today? We're still on people being unwilling to come to God. Now, I'm going to say it again. Do people have free will to come to God? Yes and no. That's what the Bible teaches. I'm explaining that, so just hang in there with me. If you want to jump ahead, go look at the videos that I did on free will. But God is executing a plan.